She didn't cry when the police told her he was dead. She smiled. Then she danced. That was the moment everything began to unravel. Welcome to Through Crime, your portal into the most chilling true crime cases, unsolved mysteries, and the darkest corners of criminal history. Don't forget to like, share, and comment on this video, and if you are new here, do well to hit the subscribe button. We dig deep into the facts, uncover shocking twists, and explore the theories that keep investigators and the world on edge. Stay back and enjoy. Mark Weston was the kind of man you build legacies around. A former Marine turned self-made millionaire, he founded Weston Secure Tech, one of Georgia's fastest-growing private security companies. Quiet but commanding, he had a heart as vast as his bank account and a devotion to his wife that bordered on obsession. His wife, Georgia native Olivia Weston, was every bit the trophy. Stunning, charismatic, and 10 years younger. She glowed in the public eye, painting the perfect picture of love, loyalty, and wealth. But behind the high walls of their Atlanta mansion, cracks had started to form. Mark was always working. Contracts, meetings, expansions. That meant Olivia was always alone. And she hated being alone. For months, Olivia led a double life. While Mark juggled boardrooms and bodyguards, she was sneaking men through the side entrance like it was a revolving door. Personal trainers, bartenders, even one of Mark's junior managers. Anyone who could make her feel something. Mark was blind to it all. He'd send her flowers daily, bought her a brand new Bentley, even installed cameras around the mansion to keep her safe. Ironically, those cameras would later betray her. According to neighbors, Mark adored Olivia. They would often hear him boasting, "I married up." But Olivia? She was saying something else behind closed doors. "He's boring. He thinks money replaces time." That bitterness festered until one day she made a decision that shocked even the darkest minds in law enforcement. She wanted Mark dead. On a humid Thursday night in July, Mark returned home from a business trip to Dallas. Olivia greeted him with a hug, poured him a drink, and slipped into the silk robe he loved. By 2 a.m. he was dead. The official story was a robbery gone wrong. Masked intruders broke in, tied Olivia up, and shot Mark twice in the chest. Olivia miraculously survived. But from the start something felt off. For one, there were no signs of forced entry. No broken locks. No security alerts. And even stranger, Olivia didn't seem shaken. She wasn't crying. She wasn't panicked. She was calm. Detectives started to dig. 3 days after the murder, investigators reviewed security footage from the house, specifically the living room camera. What they saw chilled them to the bone. At 2:14 a.m., just minutes after Mark bled out on the marble floor, Olivia untied her own wrists, walked to the bar, poured a glass of wine, and danced. She spun slowly, smiling as though she'd just heard her favorite song. She toasted the air and whispered, "Finally." 2 hours later, she began sobbing loudly, picked up the phone, and called 911, claiming she had just broken free from her restraints. Olivia was arrested 3 days later. The press exploded. But the case was far from over. During the interrogation, Olivia denied everything. Claimed trauma. Claimed confusion. Claimed she was just trying to stay alive. But detectives weren't buying it. Especially not when they found burner phones in her gym bag. Messages uncovered from those phones revealed a months-long conversation with a man named Jace, an ex-con with a rap sheet longer than a CVS receipt. Jace wasn't just a fling, he was her partner in planning the hit. She promised him $200,000. A new car. A future. In exchange, he had to make Mark disappear. Jace didn't act alone. He brought 2 friends. All were promised a cut. But only Olivia had the master key, the floor plan, and the alarm codes. The trial was brutal. Olivia's defense team painted her as a victim of domestic abuse, claims that were quickly torn apart by Mark's friends, employees, and family. Surveillance footage, text messages, and Jace's full confession sealed her fate. Jace flipped for a plea deal. Testified that Olivia said, "I'd rather be a rich widow than a bored wife." In court, Olivia maintained her innocence to the bitter end. But the jury didn't buy it. Guilty. Life without parole. Mark's sister, Angela, now manages Weston Secure Tech. In a tearful press conference, she said, "My brother built everything from nothing. He gave her everything. And she gave him a bullet." The house was sold. The Bentley auctioned. Olivia's name erased from every corporate document and will. But the emotional damage lingered. Neighbors still talk about the night Olivia danced. Some say they hear her crying in her prison cell. Others say she still believes she'll find a way out. But what no one expected was what came next. A month after the trial, authorities received an anonymous tip. It claimed Olivia wasn't the mastermind. It claimed Mark had secrets of his own. And someone else may have wanted him dead, even more than Olivia did. A sealed envelope arrived at Angela's doorstep last week, containing a single item, a flash drive labeled "For Your Eyes Only." What's on it? We don't know. Not yet. If you think Olivia was the real villain, think again. That was the first line on the flash drive. Angela Weston stared at her screen, heart pounding as the message blinked in white against a black background. Her brother, Mark Weston, the man she thought she knew, was about to be peeled back layer by layer. And what she found changed everything. The drive contained 5 video files. All time-stamped between January and June of the year Mark was murdered. The first showed Mark in his office, alone, drinking, pacing. Then the door opened. In walked a woman Angela had never seen before. She was young. No older than 25. Red hair. Confident. Angry. "Your wife is going to find out," the woman said. "She won't," Mark replied. "She never asks questions. She just spends the money." Angela paused the video. Who was this woman? The next clip was worse. Her name was Kelsey Bryant, and according to emails on the drive, she wasn't just Mark's mistress. She was a former intern at Weston Secure Tech. He'd hired her, groomed her, and eventually promised to leave Olivia for her. But he never did. Instead, he started paying her hush money, $15,000 a month wired through shell companies. Angela dug deeper. She contacted the police. And that's when the real twist surfaced. Kelsey Bryant had disappeared just 6 weeks before Mark's murder. No trace. No credit card activity. No phone pings. Her apartment? Emptied overnight. Her car? Abandoned in a Walmart parking lot in Macon, Georgia. Police had closed the case as a runaway. But now they reopened it. Because someone wanted her gone. Turns out, Mark Weston had enemies. The security company he built wasn't just protecting mansions and celebrities. Behind the scenes, Weston Secure Tech was running private intel jobs for high-paying clients. Sometimes legal, sometimes not. Encrypted files from the flash drive showed Mark had been blackmailing 2 former clients using data collected through unauthorized surveillance. One of them was a well-known Atlanta developer. The other? A politician with cartel ties in South Texas. It suddenly became clear, Olivia might have pulled the trigger, but Mark had loaded the gun long before she ever held it. A theory began to form. What if Olivia didn't plan the murder alone? What if someone helped her, pushed her? Or worse, what if someone used her? A private email on the flash drive suggested something darker. It was written by Mark but never sent. Draft saved. Subject line blank. "I know they're coming for me. I just didn't expect it to be her. If anything happens to me, it won't just be Olivia. It'll be bigger." Much bigger. Investigators scoured the metadata. The draft was last opened 48 hours before his death. Just when it couldn't get any more disturbing, Jace, the hitman who testified against Olivia, was found dead in prison. Strangled. No signs of a struggle. No suspects. The prison called it suicide. But no one close to the case believed that. Especially not Angela. A week later, another player was found. Trevor Sands, Mark's longtime accountant, was arrested at an airport in Miami trying to board a flight to Panama with $300,000 in cash. In custody, Trevor made a chilling confession. "I never meant for anyone to die. I just wanted out." Trevor revealed that he helped funnel payments from Mark's secret accounts to both Kelsey Bryant and Jace, months before the murder. The implication: Mark may have hired Jace himself, not Olivia. Investigators were stunned. Was Mark planning to stage his own fake robbery? Faking his death to escape mounting threats and his toxic marriage? But then why did he end up dead? And why would Olivia still celebrate? Unless one final email on the flash drive was dated 2 days before the murder. From Olivia. To Kelsey Bryant. "I know everything. You lied to us both. If you want to take him down, call me." The email bounced. Kelsey was already missing. But it confirmed what police feared. Olivia knew about the affair. About the money. About the escape plan. She didn't just kill out of lust or boredom. She killed out of vengeance. She knew Mark planned to disappear, with a younger woman, and take his millions with him. So she beat him to it. Olivia remains in prison. But now, investigators believe someone else might have helped cover her tracks. Someone powerful. Someone who hasn't been caught. And Kelsey Bryant? She's still missing. But a new lead has surfaced. A bank account in Belize, opened under the name K. Weston, with a deposit made the day after Mark's funeral. Angela Weston has hired a private investigator. She's determined to uncover the truth. Because one thing's for sure. This story isn't over. The dead don't run. But the missing? They hide in plain sight. Angela Weston stood outside the small, sun-bleached bank in San Pedro, Belize, clutching a manila folder that might finally answer the one question no one had been able to. Where is Kelsey Bryant? Or more importantly, was Mark Weston ever really dead? After Olivia's conviction and Jace's mysterious prison death, Angela had hoped for closure. But the flash drive with Mark's unsent email, the damning video footage, and that final unsent message from Olivia to Kelsey, "If you want to take him down, call me," had done the opposite. They cracked everything wide open. Then came the biggest shock. A wire transfer, traced to a Belizean bank account, was made 24 hours after Mark's funeral. The name on the account? Kate Weston. Not Kelsey Bryant. Not Mark Weston. Kate Weston. Someone was hiding. And Angela was going to find them. Angela wasn't alone. She had hired private investigator Gavin Morrow, a retired DA agent who knew the underworld like a surgeon knows anatomy. Morrow had already found proof that the Belizean account had been used to pay for a secluded villa on Ambergris Cay. Using surveillance photos from the local ferry station, Morrow showed Angela a blurry image. A woman with red hair. Sunglasses. Hat low. Kelsey. She wasn't dead. She had run. But the question was, why? Was she scared? Was she guilty? Or was she protecting someone? They staked it out for 48 hours. On the third night, just after 11 p.m., a man stepped out of the villa. Angela dropped her coffee. It was Mark. Older looking. Beard. Thinner. But it was him. The man the world believed was murdered in cold blood was alive. Angela's heart slammed against her ribs. "What the hell is going on?" she whispered. By morning, the truth unraveled in a way that no one saw coming. Mark Weston had orchestrated the entire thing. Not Olivia. Not Jace. Not even Kelsey. Mark. He planned his own death to escape the chaos. His failing marriage, the blackmail threats, the mounting corporate investigations. And he'd used Olivia's rage as cover. Emails on the flash drive were part of a carefully built decoy. He planted just enough truth to make her believe the betrayal and push her over the edge. He knew she'd come after him. But he was ready. The blood at the crime scene? Animal blood mixed with Mark's own, extracted weeks before through a private clinic in Dallas. The body in the morgue? A lookalike hired through a fake security gig. No fingerprints, dental records burned in the fire Olivia's men started in the garage to hide evidence. It had all been part of the script. Mark faked his death, and Olivia walked right into it. Here's where it all went wrong. Olivia wasn't supposed to hire Jace. She was supposed to just leave. Take the divorce. Walk away. Instead, she brought murderers into the house, tied herself up to sell the robbery narrative, and celebrated his death like a psychopath on camera. She turned the con into a crime. And Mark? He couldn't come back. Not without implicating himself in a fake death and massive insurance fraud. So, he vanished with Kelsey and watched from the shadows as Olivia went to prison for a murder that never happened. Angela wanted to scream as she banged on the villa door. When Mark answered, silence stretched between them like a noose. I watched them bury you, she said. I cried over you. I testified in court, Mark. His voice was calm. You were safer that way. Safer? From what? He looked down. From the people I crossed. From the men who paid me to keep secrets I couldn't keep anymore. Angela stared at him, jaw clenched. And Olivia? She wasn't innocent, he muttered. She wanted me dead. I just let her believe she got what she wanted. Angela raised a camera. Say that again. That night, the footage was sent anonymously to a local U.S. Embassy official in Belize and copied to investigators in Georgia. A storm broke loose. Mark Weston was declared alive. An international arrest warrant was issued for faking his death, conspiracy, insurance fraud, and obstruction of justice. Kelsey was taken into custody for aiding and abetting. Mark escaped before they arrived. His villa? Empty. His boat? Gone. Just a note left behind. I didn't lie to hurt anyone. I lied to survive. Tell Angela I'm sorry. But if she found me once, she'll find me again. Olivia remains behind bars, convicted of a murder that technically never happened. Mark Weston is now one of the FBI's most wanted fugitives. Angela has vowed to finish what she started. The last shot in the case file? A blurry photo from a pier in Panama. A man stepping onto a fishing boat. He's wearing Mark's watch. Dead men don't wear Rolex watches. That was the line scribbled in red ink across the front of the anonymous envelope that arrived at Angela Weston's door 3 weeks after Belize. Inside it, a single photo. A man boarding a fishing boat at a grimy dock in Cologne, Panama. His face turned just enough to catch the light. His left wrist gleamed, silver and gold. Angela would recognize that watch anywhere. It was her brother Mark's Rolex Submariner. The same one she buried with him. Mark Weston wasn't just alive. He wasn't just in hiding. He was running something. The FBI confirmed that someone had used one of Mark's old security clearance codes to access an encrypted surveillance satellite orbiting over Central America. That access wasn't available to civilians. It belonged to private contractors working with U.S. Black Ops, contracts that Mark's company had once held. Angela realized something terrifying. Mark hadn't just faked his death to escape. He was preparing for something bigger. Private investigator Gavin Morrow reached out with a name. A shadow network tied to illegal arms deals, stolen biometric data, and underground surveillance for hire operations across Latin America and Eastern Europe. They used fake deaths and forged identities to build new lives for their operatives. People who disappeared and re-emerged with fresh passports and clean slates. Mark wasn't just a runaway CO anymore. He was part of something. Maybe even leading it. And Angela now believed that Kelsey Bryant hadn't just followed Mark. She had been recruited long ago. Angela visited Olivia in prison for the first time in months. Olivia looked thinner, hardened, but not broken. Angela slid the cologne photo across the table. "This is the man you were convicted of killing." Olivia didn't flinch. Instead, she leaned in and whispered, "He promised me paradise. He gave me hell." Then Olivia dropped the bombshell. Mark had staged another fake death before. Years ago. A man named Victor Lasso, a whistleblower who threatened to expose Mark's secret surveillance projects, died in a mysterious car crash in 2016. Olivia showed Angela a hidden journal entry she'd smuggled out with her lawyer's help. "Mark told me that man's death was necessary. That good lies protect the ones we love. I didn't know then that I'd be next." Angela and Gavin followed the trail to Darien Gap, a brutal stretch of jungle between Colombia and Panama, where traffickers, mercenaries, and fugitives vanish without a trace. They posed as rogue contractors offering biometric encryption tech. A local contact, only known as El Cuervo, arranged a meeting. The rendezvous point, a crumbling plantation outside the jungle's edge. They waited. And then a black SUV pulled up. Kelsey Bryant stepped out first, followed by a man in tactical gear and a beard. "Mark." Angela's breath caught. This time there were no doubts, no illusions, no cameras. It was him. Angela stared down her brother across a rickety table, hidden deep in the jungle. "You faked your death. You let Olivia rot. You made me mourn you." Mark's voice was cold. "I gave Olivia a way out. She chose the fire." "She didn't kill you," Angela snapped. "You set her up." Mark's eyes didn't blink. "She was already a killer. I just lit the fuse." Angela pulled out a hidden wire and whispered, "They're listening." Mark smirked. "Then they better be ready for war." Gavin whispered, "Time to go." But Mark raised a gun. So did Kelsey. A standoff exploded into gunfire. Angela dove behind a truck as bullets tore through the jungle. FBI agents stormed the compound, thanks to the GPS hidden in Angela's belt buckle. Kelsey was captured. Mark disappeared, again, into the trees. But this time they found something more valuable than a body. Inside a safe house nearby, agents discovered 3 passports, 5 IDs, and a flash drive labeled "Insurance, Washington, D.C." The contents? Encrypted files containing blackmail data on multiple U.S. politicians and private military contractors. Mark Weston hadn't just faked his death. He was building an empire of leverage and lies. Back in the U.S., Olivia's case is reopened. With Mark confirmed alive, her murder conviction may be overturned. But justice isn't clean. Angela now finds herself on the FBI's advisory board, helping track Mark through layers of global shadows. The final scene? A blurry surveillance photo from Dubai. A man in sunglasses walking beside a new woman. Same Rolex. Same walk. Mark Weston is still out there. And this time he's not just running. He's hunting. There comes a moment when you realize, to beat a monster, you might have to become one. Angela Weston stood 62 floors above Dubai's golden skyline, the city glittering below her like a promise and a warning. Across the glass lounge, a familiar figure walked in, sunglasses on, flanked by 2 armed men. Come. Calculated. Mark Weston. Her brother. The man she buried. The man who faked his death, framed his wife, betrayed his country, and built a new empire on secrets and fear. She had come to destroy him. But Mark had other plans. Angela didn't flinch when Mark sat down across from her. "You've come a long way," he said with a half smile. "Was it revenge that brought you? Or curiosity?" Angela slid a USB across the table. "Everything I've uncovered, politicians, shell companies, military secrets. It's all on there." Mark glanced at it. "You still think small. Justice. Prison? You don't understand, Angie. I didn't run to escape. I ran to reshape the game." He leaned forward. "The government uses people like weapons. Break them. Abandon them. Olivia was never innocent. But she was used. So was I. Now I've built something that can't be controlled." Angela glared. "You built a crime ring." Mark shook his head. "No. I built a kingdom." Then came the twist. "I want you in it." Mark's pitch was simple and terrifying. Angela had access, connections, a clean record. She could help legitimize parts of his empire, turn the surveillance data into high-level consulting, even shape foreign policy through whispers and blackmail. "You don't have to fake your death to win anymore," he said. "You just have to own the narrative." He handed her a phone. One tap and Olivia would be permanently eliminated in prison, clean, untraceable like a heart attack. Another tap and she'd be freed. But Mark warned her. "If she walks, she'll come for me. For you. She'll burn everything." Angela stared at the phone. Two options. No peace. What Mark didn't know was that Angela had already made her choice. Before arriving in Dubai, she contacted Interpol's Special Crimes Division and handed them full access to Mark's financial trail, fake identities, and black sites. But Interpol didn't move right away. They needed him in motion. Active. Caught in a web of his own making. Angela had become the bait. The question was, how far would she go to bring him down? And how long could she fake being on his side? Back in Georgia, Olivia Weston was released pending a new trial. The press erupted. Her first stop? Her husband's grave. Her second? Angela's apartment. "You saw him," Olivia said, eyes empty. "He's still alive, isn't he?" Angela hesitated, then nodded. Olivia's mouth curled into something between a smile and a snarl. "Then I want in." Angela blinked. "You want to help take him down?" "No," Olivia whispered. "I want to be the one to kill him." Angela returned to Dubai days later, pretending to consider Mark's offer. They met again, this time in a private bunker beneath an abandoned airfield, one of Mark's data vaults. Inside were hard drives filled with information that could collapse governments. Angela stalled him as Interpol units closed in. But then Mark revealed something that shattered everything. He played a video. It was from 7 years ago. A hidden recording. Olivia and Kelsey. Planning Mark's death. Kelsey, he'll never see it coming. Olivia, he deserves to die in pain. Slowly. Angela stared at the screen in horror. Mark hadn't faked his death to disappear. He had faked it to survive. As Interpol breached the compound, Mark triggered a self-destruct sequence. He grabbed Angela's arm. "Now do you see? They all wanted me dead. I didn't start this. I finished it." Angela hesitated. Was this a man seeking justice? Or a genius turning trauma into tyranny? She pulled away. Mark fled into a tunnel system beneath the airfield, vanishing once more. Interpol recovered 40% of the data. Enough to expose half the Ghost Syndicate. But not enough to catch Mark. 3 weeks later, Angela received another envelope. Inside was a single key. And a photo. A cabin deep in the Alps. On the back, "You can still join me. Or you can die chasing ghosts. Choose wisely, sis." Angela's eyes narrowed. She wasn't done. Not by a long shot. Because Mark Weston may have escaped again. But this time she wasn't chasing a ghost. She was hunting a king. Some kings wear crowns. Others wear bulletproof vests. Angela Weston hadn't seen snow in years. Now she stood ankle-deep in it, at the edge of a frozen cliffside cabin in the Austrian Alps, the wind slicing like knives. The key Mark had mailed her opened the door to a warm hearth, maps, satellite feeds, and an arsenal that looked more military than mercenary. And sitting by the fire, sipping bourbon like he hadn't killed a dozen people through proxies? Mark Weston. Alive. Again. Smiling like the devil. Mark stood as Angela entered. No more running, he said. If you're here, you've made your choice. Angela didn't speak. He walked over to a table and opened a leather folder. Inside were birth certificates, passports, and deed titles. I'm offering you everything. You run North America. I run Europe and Asia. We replace corrupt governments with ones we own. We don't beg for justice. We become it. Angela's heart pounded. This wasn't a game anymore. It was legacy. But then came the words that stopped her breath cold. Olivia's dead. Car crash. Montauk. 2 weeks ago, Mark said casually. Brake line was cut. Police think it was mechanical failure. Angela's hand trembled slightly. She had just spoken to Olivia 5 days ago. This was Mark's last warning. Join me or die. But Mark underestimated one thing. Angela hadn't come alone. From the trees above, a hidden drone transmitted everything. Mark's confession. His empire's layout. The offer of global blackmail. Angela had worn a transmitter embedded in her earring, live streaming to Interpol, the CIA, and a dozen intelligence agencies. But before she could activate the takedown signal, Mark raised a gun. I figured you'd try something, he said calmly. You always were the smarter one. Angela closed her eyes. You don't have to do this. He cocked the gun. Then, bang. Angela flinched. But she wasn't hit. Mark fell to his knees, clutching his chest. Behind him stood Olivia Weston. Alive. Shotgun smoking. Did you really think I'd die before watching you fall? Mark gasped, blood foaming from his mouth. You lied. Olivia crouched. And you didn't? He collapsed. Just like that, the man who built a kingdom on secrets was silenced by the woman he tried to erase. Interpol stormed the compound minutes later. Olivia surrendered peacefully. Angela walked out covered in blood, not her own. The files were seized. The syndicate dismantled piece by piece. Thousands of victims were identified, spied on, blackmailed, manipulated for years. Olivia took a plea deal for aiding in the takedown. 10 years. No parole. Angela declined every offer to join intelligence. She vanished. A year later. A woman sits at a cafe in Lisbon reading a newspaper. A Rolex watch gleams on her wrist. Not Mark's. Angela's. The headline? Interpol ends decade-long surveillance mafia. Mastermind confirmed dead. She smiles faintly. But her phone buzzes. An encrypted message. Still think kings die that easily? Angela slowly puts down the paper. The camera pulls back. Her expression unreadable. The game might not be over after all. Mark built a kingdom of betrayal. Angela brought it crashing down. But when you stare into the shadows long enough, sometimes the shadows stare back. Justice was served. But the ghost of Mark Weston? He might still be out there.